You do not die instantly when you fall into a black hole. Your body and your mind do not share the same fate. Time begins to lose meaning before you even understand what is happening. And the most disturbing part is this: you may never notice the exact moment your mind disappears. A black hole is not just a hole in space. It is not a cosmic vacuum that pulls things in like a giant machine. It is something far more extreme. It is a place where reality itself bends, twists, and eventually breaks. Most people think the danger is simple. They think you get pulled in and crushed. End of story. But that is only the surface. The real mystery is not about your body. The real mystery is about your mind. Because your body follows the laws of physics in a clear way. It stretches, it heats up, it breaks apart. But your mind is different. Your thoughts, your awareness, your sense of time, these do not follow simple rules. And inside a black hole, those rules begin to collapse. Scientists have spent decades trying to understand this. They have used the most powerful theories ever created. On one side, there is relativity. It describes gravity and the structure of space and time. On the other side, there is quantum physics. It describes the smallest building blocks of reality. Both theories are incredibly successful. Both are proven again and again. But inside a black hole, they do not agree. Relativity says one thing will happen to you. Quantum physics suggests something completely different. And when it comes to your mind, the conflict becomes even more disturbing. According to relativity, you can cross into a black hole without noticing anything special at first. Your thoughts continue. Your awareness feels normal. There is no sudden shock, no instant end. But quantum theory raises a deeper question. It says information in the universe cannot be destroyed, not ever. And your mind is information. Every memory you have, every thought, every feeling, every tiny electrical signal in your brain, all of it is information. So if information cannot be destroyed, then what happens to you inside a black hole? Does your consciousness survive in some form? Does it get stretched and distorted beyond recognition? Or does it vanish in a way that physics still cannot explain? These are not just philosophical questions, they are real scientific problems. Some of the greatest minds in physics have struggled with them. There is even a paradox that comes from this. It suggests that from one point of view, you fall into the black hole. But from another point of view, you never fully cross the boundary at all. Two different realities, both mathematically valid, both impossible to fully accept. And right in the middle of that paradox is your mind. There is another detail that makes this even more unsettling. For very large black holes, the process of falling in can be surprisingly slow. Not from the outside, but from your own perspective. This means your brain could continue to function for longer than expected, long enough to think, long enough to observe, long enough to experience the breakdown of reality itself. Your thoughts would keep moving forward, but time around you would begin to stretch in extreme ways. Seconds could feel normal to you, while the universe outside races forward. This creates a strange situation. Your mind remains active, but the world you came from begins to disappear into the future. And then there is the boundary, a point called the event horizon. It is often described as the point of no return. But that description hides something deeper. It is not just a boundary in space, it is a boundary in reality. Crossing it does not just trap your body, it traps your future. Every possible path leads deeper inside, and yet according to some interpretations, nothing special happens at that exact moment. No flash, no signal, no clear ending. Which leads to a chilling idea. If there is no clear moment when everything changes, then there may be no clear moment when your mind ends. It could fade in ways you cannot detect. It could distort slowly as the structure of space and time collapses around you. Or it could continue in a form that no longer matches anything we understand as consciousness. This is where science reaches its limit. Because to fully answer this question, we need a theory that does not yet exist. A theory that can unite gravity and quantum mechanics. A theory that can describe both the largest structures in the universe and the smallest pieces of reality at the same time. Until then, the fate of your mind inside a black hole remains one of the deepest mysteries in science. And that is exactly what this journey is about. In this video, you will follow the full path from the moment you begin to fall to the point where time starts to break, to the stretching of your body and the survival of your awareness, and finally to the place where physics itself stops giving answers, you will discover how your mind experiences time differently from your body, why two completely different realities can exist at once, and why the final fate of your consciousness may be far stranger than simple destruction. Some of these ideas are based on solid equations, others are still debated by scientists today, but all of them point to one conclusion. A black hole does not just challenge the universe, it challenges the very idea of what it means to be aware. So stay with this until the end, because the deeper you go, the more reality begins to fall apart. And by the time you reach the final answer, you may realize that the question itself has no clear meaning. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe now, because this is where science meets the edge of the unknown. There's a boundary in space where escape stops being possible. It has no surface, no wall, no visible edge. This boundary is called the event horizon. It is the point where gravity becomes so strong that even light cannot escape. Once anything crosses it, every path forward leads deeper inside. There is no turning back, not even in theory. But here is the unsettling part. As you approach this boundary, nothing dramatic happens at first. There is no sudden pull, no violent force tearing you apart. Your body does not feel a sharp change. Your mind stays clear. You keep thinking, you keep observing, your heartbeat feels normal, your awareness continues without interruption. If you were not watching your surroundings, you would not even know you crossed it. This is one of the strangest truths in physics. The most dangerous boundary in the universe does not announce itself. From your point of view, you simply drift forward. Space looks almost the same. Stars still shine around you, although their light begins to distort. There's no clear line that says everything has changed. But far away, something completely different is happening. An outside observer watching from a safe distance sees a very different story. To them, you never truly cross the event horizon. As you get closer, your movement begins to slow down, not because you feel it, but because time itself is changing. Your clock and their clock are no longer the same. This is time dilation. Gravity affects time. The stronger the gravity, the S. Lower time moves near a black hole. This effect becomes extreme. From your perspective, time feels normal. Seconds pass like seconds. Your thoughts flow at the same pace. But for the observer far away, your time stretches. Each second for you becomes longer for them, then much longer, then almost frozen. Your image appears to slow down more and more as you approach the event horizon. Your movements stretch out, your signals take longer to reach them. Eventually, you seem to stop completely. You appear frozen right at the edge. Your image fades slowly as the light you emit becomes weaker and more redshifted. It drifts toward darkness. In a real sense, they never see you cross. You become stuck in time from their point of view, a ghost frozen at the boundary. But inside your own experience, nothing feels frozen. You continue forward, you pass the point of no return without any clear signal. Your mind remains active, your thoughts continue to form. This creates a deep tension. Two realities exist at once. In one, you've already crossed into the black hole. In the other, you are still hovering at the edge, never quite entering. Both are correct within their own frame of reference. This is not an illusion. This is how space and time truly behave under extreme gravity. And while this is happening, something even more disturbing begins to unfold. Your mind still feels stable, your awareness feels unchanged. But the universe outside is already slipping away. Time out there is accelerating compared to yours. Stars move faster, events unfold more quickly. The farther you fall, the more disconnected you become from everything that once defined reality. You are moving forward at a normal pace inside your own mind, but outside, the universe is beginning to race ahead without you. Time does not behave the way it used to. The deeper you fall, the more space and time begin to twist around you. Outside the black hole, time is something you move through. Inside, that idea starts to collapse. There is a point where direction itself changes meaning. In normal life, you can move left or right. You can go forward or backward, and time always moves forward 1 second at a time. Inside a black hole, this balance breaks. Time and space begin to trade roles. The direction that once pointed forward in time now pulls you inward toward the center. And just like you cannot stop moving forward in time, you cannot stop falling deeper inside. Falling is no longer a choice. It becomes your future. Every possible path leads to the same place. This has a strange effect on your mind. Your thoughts still feel normal. You still think one moment after another. But the idea of changing your fate disappears. No decision can alter where you are going. Even if you try to resist, even if you try to turn, all paths still lead inward. Free will begins to feel limited in a way that is hard to describe. You can think freely, you can observe, but you cannot escape the direction of time that now pulls you down, and it gets even stranger. The outside universe continues to speed up from your point of view. Light from distant stars begins to shift. It becomes brighter, then bluer, then more energetic. This is called blue shift. Radiation from the entire universe starts to compress into your field of view. Events that take millions of years begin to unfold in a much shorter time. You could watch stars evolve, galaxies collide, the universe itself rushing toward its distant future, all while your own thoughts continue at a steady pace. This creates a deep imbalance. Your mind feels stable, but reality around you becomes more intense, more compressed, more extreme. There is also a hidden limit. Your brain depends on signals, electrical activity, chemical processes. These require time to function properly. As gravity grows stronger, the difference between your internal time and external reality becomes more extreme. Eventually, even the signals in your brain face limits. Information cannot travel faster than light. And near a black hole, even light struggles to move freely. This raises a disturbing possibility. There may come a point where parts of your brain can no longer communicate effectively, not because they are destroyed, but because space and time no longer allow signals to move normally. Your thoughts could begin to fragment, not in a sudden way, but in a subtle breakdown of connection. Another lesser-known detail makes this even more unsettling. Inside the event horizon, all paths lead to the center in the same way that all future moments move forward. This means the singularity is not just a place in space. It is a moment in your future. You are not just falling toward it, you are moving toward it in time itself. And just like you cannot stop time from moving forward, you cannot stop approaching that final point. Your mind continues to process, it continues to observe. But the path ahead is now locked. Every thought you have is one step closer to something that no theory can fully describe. And as this realization begins to settle in, another change starts to take hold. Not in your mind at first, but in your body. The change begins quietly. At first, your body feels a slight difference, not pain, not yet. Just a strange pull. Your feet are closer to the center of the black hole than your head. Gravity is stronger there. Even a small difference in distance creates a powerful effect. This difference is called a tidal force. It stretches you. Your lower body is pulled harder than your upper body. The force increases with every second, slowly at first, then faster. This process has a name that sounds almost harmless. Spaghettify Cataline, but there is nothing harmless about it. Your body begins to elongate. Bones start to strain. Muscles begin to tear. At the same time, another force acts sideways. It compresses you inward, so you are being stretched and squeezed at once. Your shape changes in a way the human body was never meant to handle. For smaller black holes, this happens very quickly. The gravity changes so sharply that the difference between your head and your feet becomes extreme in a short distance. In those cases, destruction is almost instant. Your body would be torn apart before your brain has time to fully process what is happening. Signals would not even travel fast enough across your nervous system. But for larger black holes, the story changes. Supermassive black holes have enormous gravity, but it is spread out over a much larger region. This means the tidal forces at the event horizon can be surprisingly weak. You could cross that boundary without feeling anything unusual at all. And even as you fall deeper, the stretching begins more gradually. This creates a disturbing possibility. Your body could be under extreme stress while your mind is still active. Your brain could still be sending signals. Neurons could still be firing. Thoughts could still form. You could be aware of the process. Pain signals would travel through your nervous system. Your senses would try to interpret what is happening, but even here, reality begins to shift because the same forces stretching your body also affect how signals move. The distance between neurons increases. The pathways that carry information begin to distort. Your brain is not just being damaged, it is being reshaped. and yet for a brief window of time, awareness may still exist. This leads to a question that science cannot fully answer. Can consciousness survive while the physical structure that supports it is being torn apart? Some theories suggest that consciousness depends entirely on the precise structure of the brain. If that structure breaks, awareness should end immediately. But other ideas are less certain. They suggest that consciousness may persist for a short time even as the system begins to fail. Not in a stable way, not in a complete way, but enough to experience fragments of sensation. Fragments of thought. There's another lesser-known detail that makes this even more unsettling. As your body stretches, the time it takes for signals to travel from one part of your brain to another also changes. This could create delays inside your own perception. Parts of your mind may fall out of sync. One region processes information slightly before another. Then the gap grows larger. Your awareness could begin to fragment, not because it disappears, but because it can no longer stay unified. You are still there, but the connection between your thoughts starts to weaken, and while this is happening, the forces around you continue to grow stronger, the stretching increases, the compression intensifies, your body moves closer to its limit, and somewhere ahead, there is a point where even the concept of structure no longer holds together. There is a rule in physics that sounds simple, but it changes everything. Information cannot be destroyed. This idea comes from quantum theory. It says that every detail about a system must always exist in some form. Even if it changes shape, even if it spreads out, it never truly disappears. This applies to everything: particles, energy, light. And it also applies to your mind. Your thoughts are not abstract things floating in nothing. They are physical processes, patterns of electrical signals moving through your brain, arrangements of atoms and energy. In physics, that is information. Every memory you carry is a pattern. Every experience is encoded in the structure of your brain. Every feeling is part of a physical state. So when you fall into a black hole, a problem appears. If information cannot be destroyed, then your mind cannot simply vanish. But black holes seem to do exactly that. They swallow everything. Matter disappears inside, light disappears inside. For a long time, scientists believed that all information that entered a black hole was lost forever. Then a new idea changed everything. Black holes are not completely black. They emit something called Hawking radiation. This radiation is extremely weak. It comes from quantum effects near the event horizon, and over an incredibly long time, it causes black holes to lose energy. Slowly, very slowly, the black hole begins to shrink. Given enough time, it could completely evaporate. This creates a serious conflict. If the black hole disappears, then where does all the information go? Your thoughts, your memories, every detail of your existence. It cannot simply be erased. That would break the rules of quantum physics. So scientists began to look for another answer. One idea is both fascinating and unsettling. It suggests that the information never truly enters the black hole. Instead, it gets stored on the surface. Not in a physical layer you can see, but encoded in a subtle way on the event horizon itself. This idea is sometimes described as a kind of hologram. Everything that falls in leaves an imprint on the boundary. Your entire mind could be reduced to patterns spread across that surface, not as a complete intact structure, but as scattered information. There's another twist. Hawking radiation might carry that information away, very slowly, in a scrambled form. Over time, the black hole releases energy, and hidden within that energy can be tiny pieces of the information it absorbed. But there is a problem. The radiation appears random. At least that is how it looks from the outside. If your information is coming out, it is so mixed and scrambled that it no longer resembles anything meaningful. Your memories would not return as memories. Your thoughts would not return as thoughts. They would be broken into pieces that are almost impossible to reconstruct. This leads to a disturbing question. Is your mind preserved or effectively destroyed? From one point of view, the information still exists. Nothing is truly lost. From another point of view, it is gone in every meaningful sense. Because if something is scrambled beyond all recognition, it can never be put back together. There is no known method to recover it. This is known as the black hole information paradox. It remains one of the biggest unsolved problems in physics. Some theories suggest that information escapes in a subtle, hidden way. Others suggest that new physics is needed to fully explain it. But none of them give a clear answer about your experience. Inside the black hole, your mind continues for a time. Your thoughts still exist as patterns, but outside, those patterns may already be dissolving into something unrecognizable. And as this conflict deepens, another boundary approaches, not a boundary you can see, but one where all known laws begin to fail completely. There is a point ahead where all explanations stop. It is not just another place in space, it is where space itself loses meaning. This point is called the singularity. Every path inside the black hole leads to it. Not as a destination you can avoid, but as a moment you must reach. The closer you move toward it, the more extreme everything becomes. Gravity does not just increase, it becomes overwhelming. The curvature of space and time grows without limit. Distances shrink in strange ways. Directions lose their meaning. Physics as it is known begins to fail. The equatio. NS that describe gravity break down. The rules that explain motion stop giving answers. Even the idea of a stable structure no longer holds. Your body has already been pushed far beyond its limits. Atoms have been stretched, forces inside matter have been overwhelmed. But now something deeper begins to collapse. Your brain depends on structure, precise connections, stable distances between neurons. These connections are what allow thoughts to exist. They allow signals to travel. They create patterns that become awareness. Near the singularity, that structure cannot survive. The forces acting on your body reach a point where no material can remain intact, not cells, not molecules, not even atoms. Everything is pulled into a state where normal definitions no longer apply. Density rises toward infinity. Curvature becomes extreme beyond description. In this environment, the idea of a brain stops making sense. There is no stable system left to support thoughts, no network to carry signals, no structure to hold information in a recognizable way. And yet, the question remains, at what exact moment does the mind end? There is no clear answer. Because time itself is distorted. From your perspective, you continue moving forward, your experience flows from one moment to the next, but the closer you get to the singularity, the less those moments resemble anything familiar. The separation between one thought and the next may begin to collapse. Cause and effect may blur, order may lose its meaning, there is another strange possibility. Some theories suggest that the singularity is not truly a point, but a region where unknown physics takes over. If that is true, then something else could happen. Not survival in any normal sense, not continuation of thoughts as they are known, but a transformation. Information might not vanish. It could shift into forms that current science cannot. T describe your consciousness. If it depends on information, may not simply end. It may become part of something else, something that exists beyond space and time as they are understood. This idea is not proven, it is not even fully defined, but it shows how deep the mystery goes. Because at the singularity, there is no clear boundary between existence and non-existence. There is no clear rule that says where awareness must stop. Everything that defines reality reaches its limit. And beyond that limit, there are no tested answers, only possibilities. Your mind, which once depended on stable patterns and clear signals, is now facing a region where patterns cannot hold, where structure dissolves, where even the idea of a moment becomes uncertain. And as his final approach continues, another problem emerges, not just about what happens to you, but about how many versions of your reality might exist at the same time. There are now two versions of your story. Both follow the laws of physics, both are supported by equations, and both cannot be true in the same simple way. From your own perspective, everything continues forward. You crossed the event horizon. You move deeper inside, you experience the stretching, the distortion, the collapse of structure. You approach the singularity as a real destination, a final moment in your future. Your time feels continuous, your thoughts follow one another. Even as reality breaks, your experience still has a direction. In this version, you fall all the way in, but far away, the universe tells a completely different story. From that point of view, you never truly crossed the event horizon. As you approached it, your motion slowed, your signals stretched out over time, the light leaving your body became weaker, its wavelength grew longer. This effect is called redshift. Eventually, the light fades so much that it becomes undetectable. Blow. You appear to freeze at the edge. Your image lingers there, dim and stretched, never quite disappearing. Time for you seems to stop. Not because you feel it, but because the outside universe cannot see you move forward anymore. In this version, you are still at the boundary. You never reach the center. You never arrive at the singularity. You remain suspended at the edge of the black hole, slowly fading from view. These two realities do not match. In one, you have already gone far beyond the horizon. In the other, you are still stuck at it. This is not a simple illusion. It is built into the structure of space and time. Einstein's theory of relativity allows different observers to measure time differently. It allows events to appear in different orders depending on the frame of reference. But here, the difference becomes extreme. It creates a split in reality itself. One version belongs to you. The other belongs to the rest of the universe. There is a concept that tries to resolve this. It suggests that both perspectives are valid within their own frames. Neither is wrong. Neither can fully describe the whole picture. This idea is sometimes called complementarity. It means that two conflicting descriptions can both be correct as long as they're never directly compared. But this leads to a deeper tension. Because your mind exists in only one experience, you do not feel both realities, you do not switch between them, you follow a single path inward. Yet the universe describes a different path for you. This raises a disturbing question. Where does your true story exist? Is it the one you experience or the one the universe records? There is no clear answer because there is no place where these two versions can meet and compare. The boundary prevents any direct connection. Information from inside cannot escape to confirm your journey. Information from outside see, and it enter to correct it. Your experience becomes isolated, cut off from the rest of reality, and within that isolation, your mind continues along a path that the outside universe will never fully witness. Two truths exist at once, two timelines that cannot be combined, and your consciousness is trapped between them, following one path while another version of you remains forever frozen at the edge. A black hole does not simply destroy you. It breaks the rules that define reality. Your body is stretched, compressed, and pushed beyond its limits. That part is brutal, but it is not the deepest mystery. The real mystery is your mind. Your awareness continues longer than expected. It experiences time in a different way than the rest of the universe. It moves forward even when the outside world sees you frozen. Two realities formed at the same time. In one, you fall all the way in. In the other, you never fully cross the edge, and both are real in their own way. Then comes the final problem. Physics itself begins to fail. The laws that explain everything else no longer give answers. Your brain cannot survive in that environment. Your thoughts cannot remain stable. But even here, science does not give a clean ending. Information may never truly disappear. That means something about you could remain, not as a person, not as a memory you could recognize, but as patterns that still exist in some form. So the question remains open. Does your mind truly end inside a black hole, or does it become something that cannot be understood anymore? This is where science reaches its edge, not just the edge of space, but the edge of space, but the edge of knowledge itself. Black holes are not just objects in the universe. They are limits, limits of time, limits of reality, limits of understanding. And somewhere inside that limit, the idea of a mind begins to lose its meaning. If this made you think in a new way, take a moment to like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more journeys into the deepest mysteries of the universe. Because some questions do not just change what we know, they change how we see everything.